Yeah, it's pointing this way. Mridanga player. You have been selected. Oh, okay. She's eager to play karta. She's a musician. Musicians are eager to play kartals and other instruments. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Jamuna Tira Vanantari Yamuna Tira Vanantari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Jamuna Tira Vanantari Jamuna Tira Vanantari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jaya Radha, Madhava Radha, Madhava Radhe, Jaya Radha, Madhava Radha, Madhava Radhe, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gaur Pimanandi. Jayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Pri Vrajgacharya Stotra Satya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charan Arvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Kandibiti Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda ki Harinama Sankirtan ki Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Dainitai Gaura Pimanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to see Guru and to see Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhisam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalitam Sri Visakandvitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayasabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Sarabhyaya Namaha. Om Sarabhyaya Namaha. Om Sarabhyaya Namaha. Mukam karoti vasalam pangum langayate girim. Yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to our morning Bhagavatam class. We are continuing from Canto number 1, the last chapter of the first canto, chapter 19, entitled The Appearance of Shukadeva Goswami. And today we're looking at text number 17. Iti Sma Raja Abhyavasaya Yuktaha Prachina Muleshu Kusheshu Dhiraha Udan Mukho Dakshina Kula Aste Samudra Patnyaha Sva Suta Nyasta Bharaha Iti Smaraja Jabasaya Iti Smaraja Jabasaya Yuktam Prachina Muleshu Kusheshu Dhira Udanmuko Dakshina Kula Aste Samudra Patnya Swasuta Nyasta Bhara Iti Smaraja Jabasaya Yukta Prachina Muleshu Kusheshu Dhiraha Udan Mukho Dakshina Kula Aste Samudra Patnya Swasuta Nyasta Bhara Miti Smaraja Jabasaya Yukta Prachina Muleshu Kusheshu Dhiraha Udan Mukho Dakshina Kula Aste Samudra Patnya Swasuta Nyasta Bhara Iti smaraja javasaya yuktaha prachina muleshu kusheshu dhiraha Udanmukho dakshina kula aste Samudra padnya swasuta nyasta bharaha Iti smaraja dvavasaya yukta Prachina muleshu kusheshu dhiraha Udanmukho dakshina kula aste Samudra patnya swasuta nyasta bharaha Iti smaraja dyavasaya yukta Prashina muleshu kusheshu dhiraha Udanmukho dakshina kula aste Samudra patnya swasuta nyasta bharaha Iti smaraja javasaya yukta Prachina muleshu kusheshu dhiraha Udanmukho dakshina kula aste Samudra patnya swasuta nyasta bharaha Iti Thus Sma as in the past Raja the king Adyavasaya perseverance Yuktaha being engaged Prachina eastern Muleshu with the root Kusheshu on a seat made of kusha straw Dhiraha self-controlled Udan Mukkaha facing the northern side Dakshina on the southern Kule bank Aste situated Samudra the sea Patnyaha wife of the Ganges Swa own Sutta son Nyasta given over Bharaha the charge of administration. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. In perfect self-control, Maharaj Parikshit sat down on a seat of straw with straw roots facing the east, placed on the southern bank of the Ganges, and he himself faced the north. Just previously, he had given charge of his kingdom over to his son. Kind of repeat after me. In perfect self-control. Maharaj Parikshit sat down on a seat of straw with straw roots facing the east, placed on the southern bank
placed on the southern bank
of the Ganges,
of the Ganges,
and he himself faced the north.
faced the north.
Just previously,
Just previously,
he had given charge
he had given charge
of his kingdom
of his kingdom
over to his son.
over to his son.
Yes. Purport. The river Ganges is celebrated as the wife of the sea. The seed of Kusha straw is considered to be sanctified if the straw is taken out of the earth complete with roots. Okay. And if the root is pointed toward the east, it is considered to be auspicious. Facing the north is still more favorable for attaining spiritual success. Maharaj Parikshit handed over the charge of administration to his son before leaving home. He was thus fully equipped for all favorable conditions. Translation again. In perfect self-control, no need to repeat this time. In perfect self-control, Maharaj Parikshit sat down on a seat of straw with straw roots facing the east, placed on the southern bank of the Ganges, and he himself faced the north. Just previously, he had given charge of his kingdom over to his son. So this is the scene. Parikshit Maharaj, having received news of his imminent death, having been cursed by the son of a Brahmana, has taken shelter of the banks of the Ganges and is surrounded by, must have been thousands, hundreds and thousands, or at least thousands, of both Brahmanas, saintly persons, and also kings, who are also, Vedic kings are also saintly, having the name Raja, Rajarshi, Raja Rishi. And we read earlier how, because Parikshit Maharaj, throughout his entire life, was a devotee of the Lord, coming down in such great lineage, Vaishnava lineage, devotee lineage, his grandparents being the Pandavas. So he led an ideal life, and those who lead an ideal life can also depart this world in an ideal way. So this is what is being described here. He is actually at the most auspicious location, place, besides Mother Ganga. And he's sitting on kusha grass, straw. And here it really goes into detail with the roots of that straw facing east. Whoever thinks about where the root is facing when pulling out, and facing northern direction. Everything in Vedic culture is very detailed and very significant. Just like before we take rest at night, we should ask ourselves, where is the north? Because our head should not be in the direction of north. It's like putting two north magnets. Yeah. So there's Vedic culture is aware, makes us aware, helps us to become aware of so many different subtle laws, subtle energies. Because the material world is created in a uh, very detailed, very scientific manner, naturally, by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. Aham sarvasya prabhu mata sarvam pravartate. Those who understand who has created and how this material world has been created. And it is only when we have the great fortune of receiving this human form of life we can begin this process of learning the subtle laws of the material nature. It's not only necessary to learn the subtle laws of spiritual nature, that's a whole science in itself. We generally call it Atma Gyan, the science of self-realization. But in Sanskrit, we know how, as Prabhupada explains, Atma is not only the soul. Atma means also the body. Atma means also the mind. So therefore, real Atma Gyan means to know, to understand not only the workings of transcendental subject matters, but also the workings of material nature. Because then, only then, we can live actually in harmony and properly engage and utilize that energy in the service of Krishna. So like when we eat also, Vedic culture, the way modern people eat, how they sit, and the way they eat also, like it's very dangerous actually to eat with tools. Somebody made a video, I didn't look at it, was describing the dangers of eating with a fork or with a spoon. I mean, it happens very rarely, but some kind of accident, and that's besides the whole. There's a whole scientific reason why we should be eating like sitting down, as we are sitting down now. Of course, sometimes for medical reason, people cannot sit this way. Most people in the Western world cannot sit this way. People who come first to the Sunday feast, or even sometimes 10 years after coming to the Sunday feast, they because they've not practiced yoga, and because generally their living condition is not good. So people are. That's what happens when we become disconnected with the Vedic culture. We forget how to eat. We forget what to eat. We forget how to sit. We forget even the basics, isn't it? We forget how to interact with people. We forget, or we don't know how to establish proper relationships. We don't know the science of procreation. We are really in a condition of tamas, tamakun, that is most prevalent in Kali Yuga. So when we read the Bhagavatam, we get glimpses of how we are meant to do things, and of course, the most important lesson, the most important message, which is being discussed here, is how to prepare ourselves. That's the last thing on people's mind, generally. But how to prepare ourselves for the eventual moment of leaving this body, which no one can avoid. And therefore, it is quite natural, and it's something that we do very often as well, because it's practically in every different pages of the Bhagavatam, the subject matter. Janmam Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, birth, death, old age, and disease. Janmam Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukado Sanudarsanam. Darsanam means to see. To see means to be aware, isn't it? To understand, to be conscious of our position. Just like that great king in previous times before Kali Yuga. I don't think it's happening very much in Kali Yuga. Before Kali Yuga, demigods used to visit our planet, used to interact with great personalities, and sometimes would invite them to Svargaloka to help them fight against the demons. We're not the only ones fighting on the planet. The demigods, I mean, the whole material world is full of these two types of personalities, the divine and the demoniac, a whole chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, Asura and Sura. And what was the name of that king who went and he fought very valiantly, and the demigods wanted to reward him, that you ask anything. Huh?
King
Kulasheka? No, it was another one. I always think of Muchukunda, but Muchukunda was another. Huh? No. No. I mean, that's a great king also. Yeah, Muchukunda is the one who was in the cave, no?
No, he was sleeping.
Yeah, right.
Sleeping because he was awake earlier, protecting.
Yeah, but who was asking what is my how many days I have, and they told a few minutes.
You're going ahead of my story. Yeah. Anyways, the name of that king, I don't. It's I forget now, but the names you've given doesn't sound like the right one.
Oh, yeah, there are a couple of them. This one you're referring to the one who.
The one who before accepting.
Yes.
Yeah, he said, "Well, how much time do I have to live?"
Yes,
as you mentioned.
Yes.
Kadvanga.
Kadvanga.
Katwan.
Yes, got it. Right. So that is the training that one receives in the Vedic culture, is that one is meant to be always conscious, aware of our prime duty and responsibility in life, which is actually what is being described here, to actually be prepared practically at a moment's notice, because very often death comes at a moment's notice, isn't it? You're driving peacefully down the car, on the highway, and then some guy coming from the other way falls asleep and just rams into you, and you're gone. Yeah. So that's how we can become and should become conscious, like it is nicely described. This life is like a drop of water on the leaf of a lotus. Yeah. It can just slip away at any time. So the whole Vedic culture is preparing one from even before birth, from the moment of conception. Actually, that's why the samskaras are there, to to create the most ideal and favorable situation for that elevated consciousness actually to be developed. And Prabhupada yesterday, of course, was mentioning, how did he put it? Pattern of life. It's a nice expression. Pattern of life. We should, we can also say it like this, we should pattern our life. We should mold our life in such a way that we have the maximum opportunity to remember Krishna. So if we don't get up in the morning and attend Mangalarti or attend Bhagavatam class, then we have less chances of remembering Krishna, isn't it? So whole Vedic culture, therefore, not only, and that's very important, not only in terms of spiritual practices, because ultimately in the Vedic culture, all activities are meant to be spiritual or devotional. They're meant to be connected, offered to the Lord, so that actually, Vedic culture teaches us to be always, we could say, to be always in that spiritual consciousness. And spiritual consciousness is not simply standing in front of the deities and chanting Hare Krishna or being in a temple. Just like when the Pandavas were in their last year in the kingdom of Virat, incognito, King Virat actually, he didn't know, he suspected these people are not ordinary people. He had various doubts about who they were. So they were all having different services, as we know, but they were living together. So one day he decided to send a spy. Spies are part of the Vedic culture. To go and find out, to learn more about them. So he went, and from a distance, he tried to hear what they were discussing, and the whole night they were up. At least very late. And what were they discussing? They were discussing about war, how to prepare for war. They were discussing about weapons, so many things that Kshatriyas, because they knew that after our exile is finished, then we should regain our kingdom. But in case we don't, then we have to be prepared to fight. So in other words, just like Krishna also explains, I mean, my dear Arjuna, you're a Kshatriya, your duty is to fight. So Krishna's fighting, or Arjuna's fighting, Arjuna's killing is devotional service. That's his that's his expression of bhakti, devotional service, which does not incur any karmic reaction. So like this, actually in the Vedic culture, based on our different, on our position, on our duties, our responsibilities, that's why it's important to know what is meant to be my area of seva, of service. That's where Varna comes in. Yeah. When we are living in what is meant to be the ideal lifestyle, the ideal pattern of life, which is actually that whole. See, there is an ideal. Since the last 200 years, so many different, and that was there even before, but possibly more so. so many people come up with different ideologies in terms of, you know, how society should be organized, how we should be living. Now we're living in the days of democracy and capitalism. Communism is also there. Socialism is there. So many different isms are there. And when we study all of those, we can see that they're all limited and imperfect because Krishna is not there, because the proper understanding is not there. So Vedic culture, and that's why it's important for all of us to study in detail, to know in detail. Then we can come to understand, and we can appreciate, and we find this most natural as well, that Parikshit Maharaj, who knew all of these things, he was sitting facing north, he was sitting on Kusha grass, he was sitting on the banks of the Ganges. He was in that most perfect situation. He was surrounded by sadhus, by saintly persons, and he was also totally unafraid, because he had been, his whole life was a life of devotional service. So, so in this way, there's so many, just like the description of the 64 arts and sciences. Each and every one of these arts and sciences are very, very deep, and they generally take many years. Music is part of that.
10, 15 years.
Yes. These need to be actually revived. This is part of what we are meant to do. This is part of what Varnashram College is supposed to be doing as well. Finding individuals who have somehow been able to still find some gurus for each and every one of these arts and sciences. Are gurus. There are masters, and the whole Vedic way of life, the whole Vedic pattern way of life, or pattern life is based on knowing this combination of these, let's say, the spiritual science. The essence of spiritual science, of course, is seva, service, devotional service, and then this devotional service can be practiced through all of these different, very detailed and specific sciences that are there in the Shastra, that are listed it's listed actually in both Srimad Bhagavatam and Brahma Samhita. And it mentions, I didn't get a chance to look into it very much in detail, but some of the sciences are especially for Matajis, some of the sciences are especially for Prabhus, and some are for both, So unless we systematically, Srila Prabhupada, that's what he worded it like this. In the first of the 7 purposes of ISKCON, Prabhupada mentions how the first purpose is to systematically introduce or teach, the Vedic knowledge, which is primarily and essentially based on Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. But there's so many other literatures. We were talking yesterday about cosmology, briefly. Cosmology, each and one of these, astrology, cosmology, each one of these subjects is like, very involved. And I was mentioning when we were discussing yesterday how generally we know a little bit about cosmology, not much, Vedic cosmology. But we know very less about what is called Vedic geology. Geology? Not geology. Huh? Geography. I'm sure there's Vedic geology also. Vedic geography. What is Vedic geography? It means understanding. Okay. Should sit on asana. It's in the purport. It's in the verse, yes. Vedic geology, geography. Somehow geology. One devotee actually has been spending years and years researching Vedic geography. And most of the geography means of this planet. I mean, cosmology, you go all other kinds of other planets and, the universe and whatnot. But he found certain Puranas that he has actually some videos. I can give you the reference later on. Very interesting, very fascinating. How so much of information about this planet is there in the Shastra. And many of the names that still exist today are there in the Shastra. And the description of that planet, I mean the various continents. Of course, we materialistic people, modern scientists who are, let's say, not all of them are atheists, but many of them, they only focus on the material energy, material science, without making the connection. But we can study and also should study these subject matters with the idea of connecting that and further appreciating the wonderful workings of Krishna and his different energies. In other words, the whole material cosmic manifestation. I mean, even this body, we don't have to go far. This very body in which we're sitting is like so mysterious. I mean, so many things. Practically, we what do we know about the body? Even if we're physicians, doctors, they know more than ordinary people. But there's so many, even physicians, they discover so many things about this one particular body. So here, one thing which is mentioned also, that Parikshit Maharaj, before going to the bank of the Ganges, as part of preparing himself, then he gave charge of his kingdom. So, in other words, there's so many things we need to prepare before leaving this body, and Parikshit Maharaj is showing by example how he will be leaving his body. He has already accepted, as mentioned some few days back in one of the verses, he has accepted as good news the fact that he will die in 7 days. Means he's very positive and not shattered like most people would be. And he's accepting this as the will of the Lord, as the arrangement of the Lord, and he's preparing himself accordingly. And the very first line, of course, is mention of the river is Ganges. Okay, I'm going to ask a question before others might ask questions today. I get a chance to ask questions also. I'm first. The first line, I'd like to know what you read out of the first line where it says. We'll ask you the question first. You have to listen carefully. The river Ganges is celebrated as the wife of the sea. The river, the river Ganges is celebrated as the wife of the sea. Any insights on this? That's my question.
I think because the wife is in shelter of the husband, so then the river goes and merges into the ocean.
The wife is the shelter. The answer this. I'm repeating for those who may not have heard way back there. The wife, I think, I'm trying to just, I think this is the answer. I think the wife is the shelter of the husband, and therefore the rivers we know, they go in the ocean, so they take shelter of the ocean.
And they take shelter in the ocean.
They take shelter in the ocean.
I think that's
I think that's
perfect.
a very good answer. Excellent. Any other insights? That's going to be hard to beat. Very good. That's what happens when you serve cows and bulls. They become purified in consciousness. Any other angle here? The river Ganges is celebrated as the wife of the sea. There might be some, because we know, where does the Ganges come from? It comes from the, what's the name? Well, another name?
Karnataka Ocean, or also known as the Virja River, that divides spiritual and
Yeah, correct. So there's a name, no? Yeah, the causal ocean, but there's another name, Sanskrit, doesn't come. Viraja.
Virja River.
Oh, Virja, Viraj, Virja. Yes. So, yes. That's a river or that's a sea?
It's both. Virja River, when it's referred to river, because it separates the two functions. One is separating the spiritual and
From the material.
just like a river separates two land
Correct.
regions. Then it's referred to as Virja in that context. Otherwise, it's so wide that it's referred to as ocean.
Right.
Causal ocean.
Causal ocean. Yes. It's one of the few rivers that is simultaneously a river and an ocean. Well, we have lakes in Canada. We call them the Great Lakes. You might have seen, because they touch America. And they're so great that they look like ocean. I mean, you just can't see on the other side. That's why they're called the Great Lakes, yeah. Gee.
And just, I was thinking that what you was told, that how strong the material nature, and it's explained in the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam. There is a verse 1:14. My dear boy, all of us are bound by the Vedic injunctions to the divisions of Varnashram according to our qualities and work. These divisions are difficult to avoid because they are scientifically arranged. We must therefore carry out our duties of Varnashram Dharma, like bulls obliged to move according to the direction of a driver pulling on ropes knotted to their noses. So the
who's
fifth
speaking?
canto.
Who's speaking to who? My dear boy.
Good question.
Must be Rishabh Dev to Bharat and all the 100 sons.
Yeah, maybe Rishabh.
Alicia
Fifth
Vadev.
canto is that's it.
Ah, yes.
And the fifth canto is the stanum, where should one live, which is the arrangement for different nature people, where should they live because it's the best for them.
So we should live within that system arranged by Krishna,
Yeah.
Varnashram system. Yes. Yes.
You were explaining how the populace in general does not know proper way of doing daily.
Right.
It was just 3 chapters before when Parikshit Maharaj, in his conversation with Bull, why his mother, why she is lamenting. And one of the questions is asked. One of the things that he mentions is that the populace in general does not know the proper way of eating, sleeping, drinking, mating, and they're performing these activities anywhere and everywhere.
Yes.
So in that regard, as you were mentioning, we really need to understand these subtleties. I met few devotees who are writing a book on Vaishnav orthopraxy.
Vaishnav?
Orthopraxis, which means
Auto.
right way of doing things. What's the
Auto?
Orthopraxis.
Huh?
It's a Greek word, orthopraxis. Vaishnav orthopraxis, which means the right way of doing things. Ortho means right.
Okay.
Praxis is the practice.
Yes.
So I just looked at the draft, and some things are pretty detailed. Like when one takes shower or takes a bath, the water should first go on the head and not on the other parts of the body. The first, and then how one should even bringle the towel, how to. There's so many minor details.
Right.
It's just one particular area he was describing.
Okay.
So that they're doing research and trying to find all this.
So therefore the modern invention of showers is quite bona fide.
So still people, he mentioned like Muslims when they take bath, they first put water on their legs, as opposed to Hindus, they put it first on their head. So there are differences in culture and religion.
Yeah. And then instead of having a Sika here, they have it here. Anyway. Okay. Yeah, so what you're pointing out is that it really goes into details. And it's important, it's part of what we should be learning. And it's automatically learned when the Vedic culture is in place, basically. And therefore, because to help reestablish that culture, we need those who especially have totally been disconnected with that culture. And even, of course, in India, because there's so much of, since many years, ongoing heavy influence from the Vedic so-called culture, Vedic, lifestyle, which is abandoning so many. It's like when children used to leave home to go to school. They would walk around the parents or touch the feet of the parents, and so many things like that. When is that book expected to be published?
I think it's going to take some time. A lot of language.
Well, yeah. I mean, they can, because there's so many details, practically everything we are doing. Yeah, interesting. Any other?
I remember you mentioned that in art there are different arts which is special for men and women.
Yes.
For connection to that, yesterday I read the Natya Shastra.
Which?
Natya Shastra. Natya means the drama.
Oh, Nata. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
From Bharat Muni.
Yes.
And at the beginning, there is a plan of creating 3 types of drama. And for this 3 types of drama, Bharat Muni have 100 songs. They can play. but then they realize that there is a fourth type of drama which need the romantic type of drama. And for romantic type of drama, they cannot play only man because there is a showing interaction because man and woman, and men cannot do that. They could dress, but they cannot understand woman at all, and vice versa. So Brahma have to create apsaras to play that kind of roles in that special drama to properly play. So it's very special. All the arts have different details how to play it properly to take the maximum result, spiritual result from that. Because this not a shastra's goal is not just entertaining people, but making to understand all the Vedas for all the listeners and all the performers.
Okay. At the same time, 500 years ago, when Mahaprabhu and his devotees and associates would play drama, there were no women in the drama. I'm just saying. Yeah, that point is also...
Because there were no apsaras.
It's a different
Different
realm.
different
type.
level,
It's,
different goal,
you
yeah.
know, the Apsaras are in
When
heaven
Lord Chaitanya is
and
playing Radharani, that's different. There is no need of any apsara.
right, correct. Yeah, that's over and above, correct. Okay,
One more thing that
yes.
you mentioned that Parikshit Maharaj, how perfectly prepared himself to these 7 days. And in the Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter, the 8th chapter is describing how difficult to change our consciousness. So it's not easy. There are different methods which explained there by Krishna, but different methods are not perfect because they are all contain some kind of self individuality, means independently, like yogis. They are quite independent persons. They remain, they practice, they find the Brahman, but they are not surrendering. But in the 14th verse of the 8th chapter, Krishna says that only when you surrender to me and when you serve me fully, then we will get success. So not easy, and Parikshit Maharaj have to give all the responsibilities to his son.
Yes.
Have to go out from the palace. Have to redress.
Yes.
So all these parts are changing the consciousness to be really only servant of Krishna.
Servant,
So it's
yeah.
not easy.
Yes.
So we underestimate this process of becoming really servant, because if you don't fully surrender, it's not servant.
Right. Yes.
It's kind of business.
Right. Yes. One last hand up. Yes.
My question was that, like, in Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Dwapar Yuga, we know what was going on in India because it's written in the scriptures. Like the Varnashram system was there, and then in Satya Yuga, Hiranyakashipu and Nrsimha story, and that all happened. But what about in those times? What happened, like in the different areas,
Outside of India.
outside of India?
What happened outside of India?
At that time.
Not so much what's happening outside of India. What was going on in America during those times? I mean, when we read in the Shastra that one should only live in places where there are mango trees and papaya trees, and one should not live in places where those trees are not growing. Well, they don't grow in my country, and that's why up until only just a few hundred years ago, practically nobody was living there, or just very, So many of the places, were what is it? Nature, or very less habitation was there. Very less people were living in those places. Although there is reference that how the Vedic culture was present in so many other places as well. But at the same time, the major population has always been, and even if you look today, in Asian countries. So to the extent that to the extent that the Vedic culture was maintained, then all of what we find about regarding Varnashrama was also there. But then, especially with the beginning of Kali Yuga, then the whole Vedic. There's a direct link actually between the Battle of Kurukshetra. The battle, as we know, the Battle of Kurukshetra was just before, was at the end of Dwapara Yuga, and therefore it helped to kind of set in motion Kali Yuga, where so many unqualified people, unqualified kings, etc. So the whole Vedic culture, the whole system of Varnashrama, etc. Okay, that's why became broken. So previous to that, there were different levels of, Vedic culture existing. But one would have to study the different, to whatever extent is possible to have some of that information.
A little bit to answer, then the Pandavas conquered all the earth planets. So they went everywhere and they asked kings to surrender to them
Right.
and follow kind of Varnashram system, which was for their nature.
Right.
And they maintained that kind of social systems by sometimes visiting them.
Yes.
That is one.
Yes.
Maybe we can understand that. And before that also there was kings who was keeping all the earth like in control, under control.
Yeah, correct. Because even before, as you rightly mentioned, before the time of the Pandavas, the system was that of monarchy, and monarchy in that whole Vedic system of monarchy, there is not only kings but there's emperor, the whole concept of emperor, as you mentioned. So to the extent that they were able to keep connection and to supervise, because the whole Vedic culture is that in every kingdom they should follow the dharma, Sanatan dharma. So to that extent, and I'm sure it varied from period to period. And what we see today, of course, is the whole system broken, and in so many ways, it's like a major challenge for us today, especially in Kali Yuga, to try and bring this up. But we know from Shastra that the more we can introduce the different aspects of that Vedic culture, then people will have more of an opportunity to ultimately succeed in this human form of life by knowing about Krishna, by living in a way that will be more, at least in the mode of goodness, and ideally beyond the mode of goodness, but pure goodness.
Maharaj, also you mentioned this Vedic geography. So we forget that what we are speaking about, Bharat, is a very small place. So in the fifth canto, we see that different islands, 9 islands, and from the 9, 7 is inhabited, and it's a lot of people are living there. Much
Right.
more we can imagine. but we are taking it like a story. But it's true, and at the present moment there are a lot of people living which we don't know how to connect them.
Right, right. Yeah. Yes.
According his question, when I was in my childhood, that time also same question I think, and I searched on it. That time I get the result. The whole world was called by Bharatvarsha, and Parikshit Maharaj was the king of the whole world.
Yes.
And they have different islands. So India is the one island, Jambudweep. In fact, there is a song, Jambudweep pe Aryavarte, Bharat Varse ek nagri, Ayodhya nagri. So Ram is the king of the Jambudweep. The whole continent is Jambudweep.
Yes.
The full world was Bharatvarsha.
Yes. Yes.
The whole Leelas was happening to the full world.
Yes.
In the Kali Yuga, this is what
Yeah,
So
and
who's
Yakshas
pointing?
was living in north, and then Deutschers living in the other island.
different. And India is also an island. Now this India is an island, Jambudweep.
So, I mean, technically, the whole
World
Rishabh Maharaj is described as the king of entire Jambu Tree, right? Within that, there are 9 islands. One of the 9, not islands, they are divisions of that one central island, right? So then the southernmost division is Bharatvarsha, which is understood to be the whole planet Earth. And within that, there is Bharat Khanda, which is India. There is Bharatvarsha, which is the whole planet, which is only one of the 9 divisions of Jammu. And within that Bharatvarsha is Bharat Khanda, which is referring to the Indian subcontinent.
And this is our introduction to cosmology.
Yeah.
Which, would be very interesting to have a systematic presentation on this, at least basic introduction.
In Mahabharata, Sanjay describes this geography of this earth in detail with Dhritarashtra just before Bhagavad Gita is spoken. There is conversation, and Sanjay is asking, Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjay, describe to me different parts of the world, the geography, the people who live there, and then he describes pretty much the entire earth.
Yes,
right?
yes,
Different places.
yes. Okay. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai Sri Prabhupada ki. Gaurapimanandi.